It's Tuesday, September 15. Good afternoon. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. If you're watching online at onespotmedia.com, a very special welcome to you. Thanks for joining us. Parliament officially began this morning with the swearing in of senators and members of Parliament at the Jamaica Conference Centre in downtown Kingston. The change from Gordon House is to facilitate social distancing in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now our reporter Janella Precious is on location and now joins us live. Janella.
Thank you so much, Herman. Well, things got underway a little late here at the Jamaica Conference Centre, and as we speak, the senators are still being sworn in. I'm actually standing some meters away from where the MP-elects for the PNP are lounging ahead of their swearing in. Natalie Nita, for example, we spoke with her about some of the issues that are circulating that are ongoing in the media. One of them is that controversial PNPYO press release. She thought it inappropriate. Now, another big issue is the leadership of the PNP. It's another major talking point. And we spoke with the MP-elect for Northwest Manchester, Michael Phillips, and he says if it is the desire of the delegates, he will throw his hat in the ring. As you know, Michael's father is the outgoing PNP president, Dr. Peter Phillips. Now, back to the swearing in, because of the COVID-19 protocols, it had to be held here as opposed to the regular Gordon House because of the space. And of course, Herman, we will have detailed coverage at 7 o'clock on the events here at Jamaica House. Until then, it's over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Janella Precious there at the Conference Centre in downtown Kingston. Now, there will be 6 new faces in the Senate when that chamber of the Parliament resumes sittings. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Dr. Peter Phillips both revealed their appointees to the upper house last evening. The details in this report.
Natalie Campbell Rodriguez, Leslie Campbell, and Shireen Golding Campbell are the new members who will sit on the 13-member government side of the Senate. They replace Robert Morgan, Carencia Morrison, and Tova Hamilton, who have been elected to the House of Representatives. 4 of the government senators, Kamina Johnson-Smith, Matthew Samuda, Leslie Campbell, and Aubin Hill, have already been sworn in. The other government members are Tom Tavares Finson, Cavan Gale, Ransford Braham, Charles Sinclair, Don Webby, and Sophia Longmore. Meanwhile, there are also 3 new faces among the 8 senators appointed by the opposition leader. They are Norman Horn, Janice Allen, and Gabriella Morris. They replace Katie Knight, Wensford Skeffrey, and Dr. Andre Houghton, who made an unsuccessful bid for a seat in the House of Representatives. The other opposition senators will be Donna Scott Motley, Dr. Floyd Morris, Sophia Fraser Binns, Damian Crawford, and Lambert Brown. Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
Now to some news just in. The ruling Jamaica Labour Party has increased its seat count in the new parliament. The JLP gained the Westmoreland Eastern seat at the end of the magisterial recount. The JLP's Daniel Lawrence got 4,862 votes to the PNP's Luther Buchanan 4,851. Now the independent candidate Haile Mikael received 36 votes. The JLP now has 49 seats to the PNP's 14. Meanwhile, there have been reactions to the senators' appointments. Political scientist at New Jersey City University, Dr. Jermaine McAlpin, said he would have expected Mr. Holness to name more women to the Senate. He says it's clear the Prime Minister is placing more emphasis on continuity than change.
I think it confirms, therefore, that it is really business as usual in terms of the usual players and the usual actors within these, this dramatis personae. He's gone for stability rather than change, because if we are counting across the cabinet and across the Senate, we essentially have no more than 7 females, if my count is correct. So I still think there is something askew regarding the gender representation and also the question of newness of perspective.
In the meantime, political commentator Shalman Scott says he's wary of what he has termed gender politics. He was responding to the fact that the leader of the opposition stuck to his commitment to have women fill at least half of the 8 Senate seats on the opposition side.
I am wary about this gender politics and how many and who should be where in terms of gender. What we need really is that, yes, there has to be a recognition that there is need for participation from all segments of the society, including our females. But that ought not to be the overriding consideration. What matters in the end, it is going to be the integrity and the efficiency and credibility that is brought to the governance of the country, regardless of whether the participants are males or females.
In the meantime, the magisterial recount for the Southeast St. Anne's seat continued in the St. Anne's Bay Parish Court this morning. The People's National Party candidate in the constituency, Lisa Hanna, won her seat with an increased majority after the final count was completed on September 5. Ms. Hanna increased her margin to 32 votes. On September 3, election day, Ms. Hanna won the seat by a 14-vote margin. She beat the Jamaica Labour Party's Delroy Granston. But with the magisterial recount, the JLP's Granston is hoping he can snatch the seat, giving total control of St. Anne to the Jamaica Labour Party. Head of the Caribbean Center for Educational Planning at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Canute Thompson, has withdrawn acceptance to serve as the chairperson for the People's National Party's Election Review Committee. The committee is tasked with assessing the reasons for the PNP's defeat in the September 3 general election. In a statement this morning, Dr. Thompson gave the party's General Secretary, Julian Robinson, reasons for his withdrawal. In the statement, he said he has arrived at the opinion that the party has an abundance of insight available to inform the actions it needs to take. He says, having regard to other demands on his time, he cannot make himself available for this activity. Dr. Thompson said he has also taken account of the findings and recommendations of the 2007 and 2016 review reports and the extent to which the recommendations in those reports have been implemented. Now, he adds that the party can learn from those reports in the present circumstances, as many of the subjects examined are included in the terms of reference for this review, which would reveal similar findings. And we now take a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. More news when we return. Welcome back, continuing the news. The country's COVID-19 death count now stands at 46, with the Ministry of Health reporting that the virus has claimed 2 more lives. The latest deaths are a 44-year-old woman from Manchester with a history of hypertension and diabetes, and an 87-year-old woman from Clarendon with a history of hypertension. The ministry says the case of the 87-year-old woman was previously under investigation. It says another death is also under investigation. Meanwhile, the number of confirmed coronavirus cases in Jamaica now stands at 4,042. 109 new cases were confirmed within the last 24 hours. The new cases involve persons ranging from age 5 to 87 years. Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Thomas, St. James, Portland, and St. Catherine recorded the majority of the cases. Other parishes that recorded cases include Trelawney, Hanover, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth. Now, the latest statistics from the Jamaica Constabulary Force show a further decline in the country's murder tally. Murders are down 4.4% for the period January 1 to September 12. There were 891 cases of homicide compared to 932 for the same period last year. Shootings also declined, with 40 fewer cases than the 900 reported during that period in 2019. CEO of Credit Info Jamaica, John Sinclair, is warning Jamaicans to monitor their credit score closely. He says any negative report will remain on file for at least 7 years. In the meantime, Mr. Sinclair says credit bureaus are working overtime to ensure the information gathered from financial institutions is accurate. He says this is to ensure that payment holidays don't reflect negatively on customers who have come to an agreement with their lenders. And we go now to news overseas. With extreme weather being experienced in several parts of the United States this week, Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden is seeking to make climate change a critical 2020 issue for voters. We have the details from the CNN.
Across the country, extreme weather on full display this week. Wildfires in several western states have killed nearly 36 people since mid-August and destroyed thousands of structures. And the Southeast preparing for yet another hurricane in a season breaking records for tropical activity.
We're concerned with it, very concerned.
President Trump in Northern California for a briefing on the deadly wildfires raging in the state. His Democratic rival Joe Biden, meanwhile, delivered a speech tying the wildfires to the climate crisis and calling for action.
The damage from climate change is already here.
48% of registered voters polled by CNN in August said climate change was an extremely or very important issue in their vote for president this year, while 32% said it wasn't that important. And the poll reveals a sharp partisan divide. Of those who said climate change was an extremely or very important issue, 77% were Democrats, 16% Republicans. The president has expressed skepticism about the cause of the climate crisis in the past and had this to say Monday about the current outbreak of wildfires.
Is it possible that it's also forest management and climate change? It's both things at the same time.
I think something's possible. I think a lot of things are possible. But when you have years of leaves, dried leaves on the ground, it just sets it up. It's really a fuel for a fire.
Officials in California and climate scientists have pushed back as Biden hopes his plan to address the climate crisis will pull more voters into his camp.
We go on to news in sports. The governing body of football in the region, CONCACAF, has announced that the draw for the 2021 edition of the Gold Cup will take place on September 28. On this day, the Reggae Boys will find out their opponents in the group stages of the competition. The 12 teams that have qualified so far for the competition are Canada, Honduras, Grenada, Jamaica, the United States, Mexico, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Curacao, Martinique, Suriname, and Panama. Qatar is an invited team, while 3 other teams will seal qualification in July next year. The Reggae Boys were eliminated at the semi-final stage of the 2019 edition of the Gold Cup. The 2021 tournament is set to run from July 10 to August 1. And that's it for the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, good afternoon.